Welcome back, everyone. This is a little bit different today. We are in MyWhoosh. If you aren't familiar with MyWhoosh, it's a free platform that's available on about all the devices. I've been doing MyWhoosh a lot this year. I haven't made many videos about it, but this one is the Sunday Race Club. Pretty much the only racing I do on MyWhoosh is a Sunday Race Club. This is verified racing, so everyone here has done all the performance verification tests, height, weight, equipment videos, and everyone's legit. Like, there's no Z-Power guys, there's no crazy setups, which makes the racing so much better because the people are doing the work they're doing is legit. The racing is super tough as well. Over the past few months, the talent level of Category 4 has just stepped up a notch, up and up and up. It's definitely getting difficult, which is fun. It makes the racing, you don't know what you're getting. The courses are also challenging. This course is a doozy. I could not find a good graphic. The one negative to MyWhoosh is it doesn't have the community-led projects with all the information available, basically with a quick Google search. The Sunday race clubs are also kind of a custom route. They're all 45 kilometers, and pretty much all of them end on some sort of giant climb. It's what it seems like, at least. We are in the California world, and this is the coast and country. So if you do the coast and country free ride, you basically get the course. But here we're starting out. We're going to go up Hollywood Hills. You can see up there in the mini map where that ramp is starting to go toward the sky. I can't remember the exact distance, but it's about a 9 to 10 minute climb for me at pretty much full gas, and it's not super steep, but it does have some pretty steep pitches. Now, I have won a couple of the last couple of races, so in this Category 4, I am on the front end of things. But the pace that these guys are hitting right off the bat has kind of blew me off, out of the water here. Like, I'm really struggling initially. And I also have to keep within myself because we have this climb and then 3 more smaller climbs to tackle before the final, I think it's 9-kilometer climb, which I've not really done too well in this course. This is the third time I've raced it. The first time I did it was in July, and I just got destroyed. I think I finished like an hour and 36 minutes. I was in Category 3 the last time I did this, and I actually had a mechanical. My shifter cable came out of the holder in the start pen, so I can't really count those results. So here, I wanted to show where I attacked on this, just to kind of test the group. It's a little flatter spot, and you could see it stretched out in the mini map. You could see we got some gaps. So I just wanted to see who was going to respond. I got Daniel Caddis. He comes along. He's also an extremely strong rider. I'm pretty sure he's won a couple races before, at least not he's been in a top 5. So he's super strong. So I wanted to kind of see if I could make a selection early. And we kind of got a small group here, and I realized after this that the camera placement kind of goes over top of the leaderboard, so I may have to move it, find a better spot for it. The one thing with California is there is a lot of climbing, and the climbs are so varied. Like, it is hard for me to get in a groove. Like, that is the one thing with California, and then I'll talk about it later on the big climb. But we're coming up here, and there's like 10, 12, maybe 15 guys on this group. And once I kind of saw that, they were responding, they weren't going to let us get too far away, I was like, okay, we'll just settle back in and see what happens. And one thing that this carries across all platforms is once you get to the top of a climb, keep the effort up. So once we get up here, you'll see how basically the selection is made on the top of this climb, because there's 10 to 15 guys right together, and I'm pushing. At this point, I'm pushing the pace because I want to see who's going to come, who's going to be in that front group. And you can't quite tell because of where my camera is, but there is 6 of us right here, and then there's the other 6, 7 guys. They all sit up just for that small second, whereas I keep on the hammer. Torsten, Chris, and Daniel, we all get the gap. This right here was the moment to where we made the separation to get across because we carried the power on across. Now, I was guessing the other guys were still in the same because they didn't quite back off, and I also wanted to make this be the group that we took to the finish. But you can see, like here, carrying your momentum over top the climb. We got, I think it was like 6 seconds right here. We had 6 seconds right off just the top here. And then going downhill on MyWhoosh, you can make up a lot of ground if you just keep pedaling. If you just keep moving and don't do a whole lot of freewheeling and then super tuck. I can't remember the exact distance we had at the bottom, but it was a sizable chunk of 15 seconds, I want to say. And this basically was the gap that we had pretty much the whole time. Now, the group chasing, they didn't let us get too much. I think the furthest we had was about 20 to 25 seconds. So we couldn't just dilly-dally around. We still had to work. But this was the group that basically your top 5 was going to be out of. And I definitely wanted to be there. But this climb was, it was actually it set a new 10-minute power for me, which was with how I felt right now. I went pretty deep in it. But hey, it's all right. It happens. It's a race, and I'm sure the other guys around me were doing the same, feeling the same way of how that climb was. And here I have, and this is the other thing too. Right now, there's 6 people up front, and 3 are on the level team with me. So I got 3 teammates here. I'm feeling great because I know Chris is super strong, Torsten's super strong. Now also Dave, Pano, and Daniel they're great riders as well. But I have a lot of confidence that if, with the 3 teammates here, we're going to be able to do some damage if we get any kind of gap, any separation. So this is just a little bump. I'm not even sure what the name of this climb is. It might not even be categorized. I can't remember exactly. And I will say one thing about the California world, the MyWhoosh world. They are very greatly designed because every few kilometers, there's something different to look at. It's very, very good visually distracting, I want to say. Like, you're always looking at something different. It's always hilly too. Like, MyWhoosh makes some very difficult courses. Like, very few just flat, chill areas. So you're always going up and down, which, some people enjoy that, some people don't. So MyWhoosh, it's one thing that they know how to design a tough race course. And this is one of them. This is one of the hardest courses to race that I've done on MyWhoosh in a Sunday race club. So Christopher keeps pushing the pace here. He's definitely, and like I'm getting a sense right now, he's definitely feeling, he's probably the strongest is what I'm getting the sense out of, because I am not feeling too good right now. This is I get up at 3:30 in the morning. The race is at 4:40 in the morning for me. So it's challenging to, fully be ready mentally for these races. But hey, it's just one of the things you're going to make a sacrifice for to participate in a Sunday race club, because who doesn't like a payday? Or even the potential of a payday, because you just never known. We come across this flat section here, and this is where I'm hoping to kind of just recover, rest, and get ready for, because I know we have 3 more hills left. And 2 are pretty punchy hills. Once we get through Alcatraz here, we got a couple punchy hills and the long climb. And the last climb, you hit a punch, you descend, and then you hit the climb again. So it's definitely a challenge. And here Chris starts getting a little gap off the front. He keeps working it. And coming through Alcatraz here, it's nothing crazy, but it's definitely steep enough to where if you're not paying attention, which I basically get dropped and have to burn a match to get back on, because I'm relying on the draft right here. Just see that little gap here, and then all of a sudden I'm left out of, I just wasn't putting enough power down to stay in that. So now I have to burn a small match, a little bit of effort to make sure I'm not dropped, because it was kind of touch and go here whether I was going to be able to get back on that wheel. Because you got a ramp coming here, and I really had to put out some power to come across the gap, because obviously they are as well. They are wanting, especially if they're seeing me drop off the back, they're going to want to increase that pace. So something within MyWhoosh is you got to be really careful. That draft bubble is much smaller than, if you're familiar with Zwift, it's much smaller than what people are used to within Zwift. And I ride a lot of Zwift too, so I understand Zwift dynamics. But that was a big match that I had to burn, that just by dangling off the back, trying to stay in the best draft position. There's a fun little light up bridge. And if you guys notice, one of the funniest things about MyWhoosh is the animations. And I know who they were modeled after, which was, I believe he's the director of the game, Matt Smithson. Because I thought it was a Yates. I would have bet money it was one of the Yates twins, because of the standing motion. It's almost identical as the Yates twins. I have a little video I'll clip in here of showing it, but it was actually modeled after Matt Smithson. So, but it's just funny watching it in full speed, like, or 400% speed like this, the way they're just slamming around like that. So this climb right here, it's not too bad overall. I mean, it's just so much varied for my local terrain. Obviously it goes up and down, but the going from 7 to 1 to whatever 5% again, it is nothing like this. So this is big time out. I guess the climbs on MyWhoosh are big time out of my normal efforts. They are definitely, you definitely got to be shifting a lot more, which is something that even locally outside, when I do go outside, it's pretty much your steady gradients. You got a little change in there, but nothing as severe and significant as MyWhoosh. So we got to go through this little downhill and the kind of a bridge area. I shouldn't say bridge. It's not actually a bridge. There's plenty of bridges on this course, but it's just this little transition period after this. I make a massive mistake, because of course I got teammates here. So Chris has been trying to do some work at the front and get off the front. So that's the thing, like, I'm not going to chase him back unless I'm with him. If I'm with him, I will work. But if he gets off the front, I'm going to let him go and make the others chase. I mean, that's just your typical team tactics. So here in a second, Chris is going to get a gap. And I can't, I'm having doubt with myself. So I'm like, I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to let Chris go and see if anyone else wants to chase him. Because I think the big looming climb at the end has me really nervous. And I just got to focus here on staying with this group here. Let Chris go. Now here we take off. Daniel decides he's closing this gap. He's not going to let it go. And I'm just trying to save some energy. I'm going to let the others do the work to go across. Partially, I don't want my teammate getting caught, and I don't want to contribute to that work. And Daniel's starting to get a gap on our group too. He's starting to build that, get further across. And he senses that too, and he's going to actually get a good gap on our little group here. Because Daniel was the only one that was like really instigating the chase to bridge over to Chris at this point. And I'm assuming Torsten is in the same sense as me, is like, let him go. Let's see what Chris can do without contributing to pulling him back. And obviously if Daniel makes this bridge here, that's going to be a pretty good group to go to the finish. And right here, coming at this bump, I can't remember who started it, but it fires up. we make this catch here. So Torsten starts, it looks like. Dave goes, and then I'm like, well, obviously I have to go. And it's a pretty big effort to come across this gap here. Now, I didn't really want to catch Chris. I wanted to let him go. But and also, it's just one of the things is you do have to follow the moves. And with that being said, you could see we just haven't caught Daniel yet. And he's just a little bit off of Chris. So as we're going here, look at this. We get back almost to the wheels, but we don't actually get on that wheel. And within a few seconds, those two are gone. And that was the mistake I made of not continuing through across to Chris and Daniel. So like, look at this. This lead just explodes. Like, it was frustrating because we burnt that match to get across, and then we were, 10 to 12 meters off that wheel, and no one filled in that gap. And boom, look at that, 14 seconds, just like that. So I'm like, oh man, I was like, at this moment, I'm really frustrated. Like, I missed that. So I kind of went for a consolation prize here. So I knew that I had scored several King of the Mountain points. So I'm like, well, I want to win the King of the Mountain jersey. So that's at this moment right here. I was like, I just switched to that thought because I truly was like, I know Chris has huge power and Daniel's very good. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure that they are going to take this to the finish. So I switched in that moment once going across that bridge, that I was like, I want the King of the Mountains jersey. So that's my focus now, is trying to outscore. I believe it was Penu who had it at that point. I think he had beat me on like one climb, and then the Mount Umunum climb, I maybe scored 1 or 2 points. Like, I didn't score that much. So come across, boom, I got the King of the Mountain jersey. So now it's just trying to relax, recover a little bit, because we're coming to the final climb. And like I was saying earlier, these climbs, they're not steady in California at all. So it's out of my, strong suit. And this is also, since you go to the final climb, Chris and Daniel are, right now they're 11 seconds in front of us. And then the group, which you can't see, I believe they were about 25 seconds behind us to 30. So we've got a balancing act to do. I don't want to catch Chris. I want him to get the win. Like, I don't want to bring him back, but I can't let the people behind us catch us, because I really don't know how big that group is. Like, say you had 2 or 3 guys that are just kind of hanging out in there and they're covered for this climb. They can blow up this climb and then knock me or one of the teammates out of the money. out of one of the top 5 spots. So my whole kind of goal is to balance the lead, keep us in the middle, so we're not going to take away from Chris or get caught ourselves. So it's kind of one of those things to where, what do you do? And also, to get the King of the Mountain jersey, I really do have to do a decent chunk of work to make sure that I am the fastest up this to get the most points. And with these gradients like this always shifting, it is so difficult for me to get in a rhythm because that rhythm is always changing. Like locally, my climbs are nothing like this. So for years outdoors, all the hill training and hills I ride, it's I just not my style of riding. And then obviously with indoors, you can basically flatten out any hill you want with the trainer difficulty or even just the virtual gearing itself. But I do ride this a little bit different than my strength because it is so punchy. And looking back, it probably was a poor decision because there are several times on this climb that I attack, like that I, kind of go on the attack right there. Like I'm trying to get, and the whole goal is to try to get, we have 6 right now. David, Winfield, Torsten, Panu, and me. So out of my group, one of us is not going to get in the money. So I'm kind of attacking, trying to get at least one person off so we can get to the finish without having to truly worry about the top 5. But repeatedly, it's just not steep enough with these attacks to get any good separation, because whether it's the draft is still there or just in general, they were able to hold the wheels better because it wasn't so steep. And I know Torsten and Panu, they attacked as well. So all of us are just trying to get something to happen. And the gap behind us is maintaining the gap in front of us. So we're not necessarily, no one's gaining a whole lot of ground or losing a whole lot of ground. It's just kind of steady, very similar efforts in front of us and behind us. So we got 3K to go. And I know the top of the mountain, you hit the top of the climb and then you got a little bit up downhill to the finish. So that's what I'm thinking about too, is like I'm trying to replay it in my head exactly how it flows. Because at this point I am pretty tired from those attacks that I've been doing, and I've got a plan for the finish, how I'm going to finish this. So right here, I'm hoping to get some sort of separation. Hopefully some other guys are tired and I'm able to just to get enough gap to hopefully place in third here, but it didn't happen. Torsten and Panu come by, and I believe right around this area Dave did fall off, because I can remember here coming up to the finish that I was in 5th and I had a little bit of gap on him. And this is I was not expecting this at 700 meters to go on this climb. Torsten and Panu just crush this, and I'm like full alarm bells because I know they're going this far out on this climb, and then we still have this sprint to go. So they got a gap on me big time. Now I had rode very aggressive on the climb. I think if I would have just tried to rode more steady, I would have had a little bit left here, but they are hammering the top of this climb. You can see here, like I'm staying in contact, like I'm not totally out of it, but I'm not getting a draft either, but I'm just staying in touch with them. So I'm hoping that after the climb, I can use some of the downhill momentum to pass them. And as we're getting here to the finish, like I'm struggling because they keep this high pace up for a long time. It's a great move by them because they were basically just following me when I did attack, and then they ultimately just had more at the top. It was really, really impressive rotting from everyone. Dave, Panu, and Torsten all stay together and fight each other like this. So Daniel crossed. I lost my King of the Mountain, but I'm hoping, because I don't know the exact time that he got at this moment, but I'm looking up at the clock and I can see like there's a good chance I'm going to beat his time. So I should get that kit back for the King of the Mountain, and there we go. So my only kind of loose concern with the King of the Mountain is if someone behind me, does climb faster and ends up going faster up the hill. Which ultimately didn't happen. I did get the goal of the King of the Mountain jersey. And here, these guys are back on the attack. Near 500 meters to go. And I'm really hoping that I can use some momentum, but I just don't have anything left. I was hoping to hit this little bump right there and use the downhill momentum to swing by them, but they just had too much. That was everything I had to follow their move, and to top it off with another sprint. I didn't have it today, but fantastic race. This was an excellent race by everyone in this top 5 here and behind. They never gave up. They were chasing us the whole way. So it was an absolute great race. The competition is so good here. It's very evenly matched. We're all kind of in the same watts per kilogram, same power. And it was just that one mistake of not officially closing that gap that separated Chris and Daniel from us. So that was great move by them, great by sticking with the power and not backing it off. Whereas we just let up just a touch early, and next thing you know, they had 15 seconds and it was all over. So I really enjoy Sunday Race Club. A lot of fun. Racing is excellent. A lot of great racers, a lot of great guys here. So I know it's a little bit different than my normal Zwift videos, but this is a lot of fun, and it really is my focus for the time being right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be making some more of these Sunday Race Club videos. You guys take it easy. Thank you very much.